I started this year with an impossible goal, what I now realize is an impossible goal. I was set on nailing the Brad Paisley tone, and I still haven't got it, but I've gotten close. So to kick this off, I'm going to play you the reference track. This is kind of the tone I was going for. I know we could argue semantics of amp changes over the years and tone changes over the years. Let's be honest, when you hear a Brad Paisley song, his guitar playing is so unmistakable. And I do agree, and I get that that's part of my problem, right? Everyone's going to say, well, it's in his fingers. You're not going to be able to sound like him regardless of what your amp setup was. And I do buy that partly. So part of this process required me learning a bunch of Brad solos. I still play nothing like him, so I get that that's part of it. But I feel like if I'm playing one of his solos note for note, I want to be able to have a tone that at least gets close. But I'll let you hear what I have in a little bit. Let's play the reference track. This is Brad's solo over Little Moments. So as you listen to that, you probably thought one of two things. The first being maybe that, yeah, good luck, dude. You're never going to be able to recreate this tone. Millions have tried before you and all have failed. Or you may have thought, hold on a second, that doesn't sound like Brad Paisley. And if you thought that, you'd be correct. That was actually my take on that solo. So for that, I'd used AI to pull his guitar out completely, and I re-recorded the solo using my guitar with my setup. So knowing that now, I genuinely am interested. I'd imagine just from the title of this video, there are some genuine Brad fans watching this. Was that close enough that you could tell, or could you tell right away, like, this is not Brad Paisley playing this? So let's just reference the two. Like I said, I've split his actual guitar part out, so I'll play them side by side, and I will be honest, as you hear them side by side, there is still a lot missing from what the tone that I've built. And yeah, if you have suggestions, honestly, leave them below. I'm down to keep tweaking this this setup that I have. I don't claim to have it perfect. His is a little bit brighter than mine, and I've adjusted EQ a little bit, but yeah, there's something just about the way he plays and the way he has his stuff set up that is really tough to emulate. Now, I will say, with that in mind, he uses his La Brea pickups. I do not have any like signature Brad pickups. I'm sure that would make, you know, it'd add a little, maybe 5% or 3% or some amount on top to get it just that much closer. But I do not have those at my disposal at the moment, so I'm just kind of going off of what I got to work with. But yeah, so let's hear the two, my guitar and his guitar, side by side, and yeah, let's see what you think. A couple things to keep in mind. Like I said, I did use stem splitting, so it wasn't able to pull just his guitar. There is some background electric guitars going, as well as like a pedal steel. But we'll just listen to a little bit of his isolated solo. Okay, so then let's hear my attempt at this. So now I'll kind of fade between the two, fade in and out, so you can hear more of like an A-B, what's going on. So as I listen to that, his sounds it sounds more produced and polished than mine. I'm hearing it in stereo, whereas I just recorded mine in mono. So I don't know how he recorded for this specific track. Like I said, it is a little weird and phasey just because you can hear like guitars in the background on the isolated guitar track. So I'd imagine if you were to actually get like the raw stems from this recording, it's going to sound even better than it does here. But yeah, I am genuinely curious to hear what sort of audible differences you guys are hearing as you listen to this. And so now that we've actually heard what I've come up with, I'm just going to quickly kind of show you how I'm getting this sound. So unfortunately for you amp users out there, I don't own a Dr. Z. I do have a Vox AC15 that you can probably see right there. But it's not a great amp, and it has a Celestion speaker in it. I don't think he used Celestions in his Voxes. So I did this all within the Line 6 Helix world. So I will pull up here on my screen. I'll get some screen mirroring going, and then, screen recording, so you can see what I'm actually looking at, and I will show you what I'm doing here on the Helix. Okay, so the screen is up. As you can see, I have called this wish.com Paisley because that's kind of what it is. I'm using as an amp the AC30 model within the Line 6 Helix. I know I mentioned Brad's famous for using Dr. Z's, but almost all of his major hits he actually recorded. He has a pair of AC30s that he talks about in all his interviews that he got when they were still being made in the UK. And that's actually the sound that you hear on a lot of his records, is the actual AC30s. So I'm using that. I have it driven. Let me just grab a guitar. I don't know why I don't have one. So I have their Essex A30 here, and if you listen just on volume, tone, everything up all the way, the tone I have is very overdriven. So here's how it sounds, just kind of as is. Now, before the haters get too carried away as well, I know this looks like a Strat to you guys, but as far as physics are concerned, this is still a Tele. Scale length is Tele. I mean, Strats and Teles are the same, but Tele bridge, Tele pickup, Tele wiring. So I'm on the bridge position here. So as far as tone goes, we're still in Tele territory with this guitar. So what I've found, and this is interesting, if you look here, I have a gain block in front of the amp. So I do have an overdrive, a tube screamer. I know he's used tube screamers on a lot of his stuff, but I do not have it engaged. I did not have it engaged when I recorded that solo, but I have just a gain block so I can push the front of the amp. And I found the right mix, at least for this guitar, getting in the ballpark, is actually to roll the volume way down and then bring up that boost once it actually hits the signal chain here in the Helix. So that it's still, however they're interacting, it still kind of gives it that aggressive push into the amp. But it's not quite as overdriven and like into like distortion territory like it is when I roll the volume up all the way. Yeah, that's kind of seemed to be a trick that I found that works. And really the rolling the volume makes so much difference, even just as you go like 1/10 of the way in either direction. And I've kind of found that to be the way to account for the variances in his tone. If I want it to kind of be, if I want it to kind of try to emulate a solo where there's a little bit more overdrive or a little bit more breakup within how the amps sound, rolling the volume up just a tiny bit on the guitar itself will account for that. And then same thing, if it's a little bit cleaner of a solo, rolling it back down that tiny amount seems to do the trick there as well. So yeah, I can just kind of demonstrate. Here it is full. here it is about 70% up. Rolled it off even a tiny bit more. And then yeah, just to kind of finish out this this preset, I do have the red squeeze going on. That's also kind of helping push the front of the amp. As far as cabs go, I have two of the different kind of classic speaker configurations you'd see within AC, like the more vintage style AC30s. Two different amps. Brad recently did a video with Rick Beato where he talked about what amps he was using to record. So I have this, or not what amps, he mentions what mics he was using to record. So I actually used the exact same mics here that he mentioned in that video. And then I just have a little bit of reverb. I have a little bit of slapback. You can hear that. Brad, he uses a little bit longer delay a lot of times than a lot of other country players. If you think of like how like Brent Mason gets his tone, his slapback time is a lot faster than how Brad does it. But obviously for Brad it works super well. So I have that set at 140. And then I just have, I don't even know if I have anything. Yes, I do have some tweaks to the parametric EQ here. All of these I did after isolating the actual solo from Little Moments. When I was listening to the isolated track, that's when it kind of stood out to me. Okay, the tone that Brad has going on is actually way brighter than even what I had built. So I think I brought up, and I say brighter, it's kind of like that it's a mid-rangey frequency. So I think I boosted the 2.1 kilohertz, not a ton, but just a little bit. And I believe that's all that's going on here. Yeah, nothing else is boosted. So yeah, I still don't claim to be able to play like Brad, but it's been fun learning these solos. It has been fun trying to get this tone dialed in. I'm gonna keep tweaking it a little bit. I am curious if you guys have suggestions or stuff that stands out. Let me know, like I said, in the comments. I'm not quite sure if I'm ready to call this quits yet, but I know that the new upgrade for the Helix itself is coming out as well. So I have hopes to be able to get my hands on one of those within the next year or so. So I don't know if I want to spend too much more time dialing in stuff on the Helix just to have to rebuild it all when the Stadium comes out. But yeah, I think I'm gonna keep tweaking this a little bit, build it out a little bit more, and then if you are interested, I will put this. I'll just put it for free over on Patreon for anyone that's interested over there. You can just head over to my Patreon. I'll have that linked, and I'll have a post with this available there.